Ni hao viewers, how are we doing? Now the World Cup is but a few days away and we all know what that means. Would I be a football YouTuber if I didn't do my predictions for that entire tournament? No. Would I be frauding a living if I didn't do my World Cup predictions right now? No! So that is exactly what we're going to be doing today. Who is going to come out on top at the end of this tournament in Qatar? I just want to preface this by saying whatever I put here as the results for the final, it's coming home. Now, we're going to be doing this with a little bit of a twist today because I'm over on the Opta Million website. This is a game where you can win $1 million if you predict the World Cup correctly from start to finish, including the groups, obviously, all the way through to the knockout stages and the eventual winner. Now, the link to play is down in the description below. As I mentioned, that's what I'm going to be using for today's video. And not only that, but the lovely people over at Opta have provided all the statistics for this video as well. And there's some sensational ones in here. But if you're going to enjoy the video, feel free to slap a like on it and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. Over 2,773% of you are currently not subscribed, so I'd really appreciate it if you hit that big red button. Now, where better to start off than Group A? We've got Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands. We don't even need to talk about it. I don't need the stats. Netherlands are winning this group. Now, they obviously missed the last World Cup. They've been pretty poor in terms of international tournaments recently. But they'll be back and looking for revenge now for their 11th time in the tournament. They're actually the side that has got to the final the most amount of times without winning it, being 3. Now, Qatar will want to avoid being the second host nation to go out in the group stages. That after South Africa did it in 2010. But let's be honest, South Africa were just there for vibes anyway. Now, it's interesting actually, because this is going to be an uphill task for them to qualify. Don't get it twisted. But they're the AFC Asian Cup title holders. They're not fools. I just think they're really going to struggle to get out of this group. They've been kind of like nationalizing some players that aren't actually from Qatar. I'll be honest, I don't really know any of their players. I don't think they're going to end up qualifying. We've got Senegal, who were offered a massive boost when it was announced that Sadio Mane would actually be fit for the tournament. He's been named in the squad. I don't know whether he'll miss the first game, but he is going to be there. They are the current AFCON holders. They've got a solid manager in Aliou Cisse. The weird thing is they were actually eliminated from the 2018 edition of this tournament on fair play rules. Japan ended up going into the knockout stages instead of them. They had identical points, identical records, but had more yellow cards and went out on that. I wouldn't have that personally. And finally, Ecuador. Really, to be honest, I don't follow their Premier Division. Let's say that. They had some controversy going into the tournament because apparently they have a player in their roster that wasn't even born in Ecuador, or like his papers are wrong. FIFA have just allowed it because are there even 26 footballers in Ecuador? Nah, but for real, they're a decent side. They've done well to actually get out of South American qualifying. It's crazy there, but I'm still not entirely sure they're going to get out of the group. I'm going to put Senegal second. I'm going to put Qatar third based on maybe the home advantage, and Ecuador there down in 4th. Group B is where we of course find the World Cup winners. In England, they have of course got Iran, USA, and Wales in that group as well. To be honest, I've seen some people complain obviously about Gareth Southgate and about 26-man squad. I like it. I'm not even gonna lie. Apart from Tomori and Tony missing out, that's basically it. I can't even lie. It's not bad. You know what's mad? Since we won the World Cup in 1966, we've only got past the quarterfinals twice. Weird shit. But no, I'm kidding. No, we are actually guaranteed to do well. Like, trust me on this one. Obviously, off the back of the final at Euro 2020, Italy aren't even in this tournament, so we are categorically guaranteed to win. Iran next. Now, interesting stat about them. They've scored 9 World Cup goals in history, all by different individuals. No man in Iranian history has ever scored twice at this tournament. They've never made it out of their group, but they actually won an Asian qualifying group with South Korea in it. That's not an easy feat. The USA, the soccer merchants themselves, with the LeBron James of soccer in the side.
This guy's like the phenom guy, right? He's like the LeBron James of soccer. Definitely.
They are struggling with a little bit of a centre-back shortage, a little bit of an injury crisis at the back. And you can expect goals with the US anyway. They've only kept 2 clean sheets out of their last 27 World Cup games. I don't think that's about to change with that injury problem going on there. And then Wales. Now, Wales have obviously done well at international tournaments before, but those days, I'm not entirely sure whether can be recaptured. Gareth Bale is still Gareth Bale, and he always turns up for Wales. But Aaron Ramsey's kind of getting on a little bit as well. I think here, realistically, you know, I am genuinely realistic when it comes to England. I think we are going to win this group. I think we've been dealt a nice hand here. I'm going to go with the US qualifying in second, with then Wales in third and Iran in fourth. I think just about, I'm really debating this one, I can't lie, because the US aren't in great form either in terms of the national team. Wales have still got Gareth Bale, which is a cheat code, and Iran are in good form, so much of a muchness, but I'm just squeaking the US there. I'm sorry to my Wales brothers. Group C now is where we find Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. Argentina have only gone out once in the group stages out the last 13 World Cup appearances, and I don't think that's going to change here. They're in a pretty simple group as far as one that they're expecting to get out of. Lionel Messi will be hoping to guide them to glory and maybe take home his first World Cup. But if he's going to do that, you'd expect him to score his first knockout World Cup goal. Yep, that is right. All 6 of Lionel Messi's goals at the World Cup have come in the group stages. The other Copa America holders, though, and they're on a ridiculous unbeaten run of like 30 games, I think. Don't quote me on that one. That's not an Opta-provided stat. Saudi Arabia, I'm going to keep it 100% real with you. I don't know any of their players because they literally all play in Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure I've watched a single game of Saudi Arabian football in my life. I'm going to be open and honest with you, and you haven't either, so don't judge me. They've won 3 of their last 16 World Cup games. They might make that 4 here, but I don't expect them to qualify. So then it kind of comes down to Mexico and Poland for that second spot for me. Now, Mexico's a weird one because on paper you imagine Mexico to be good, but I think a lot of Mexican football fans aren't really all that, like, they're not very optimistic about this tournament and the squad they have at their disposal. And then obviously you've got Poland, who always seem to be like the perennial underachievers at international tournaments. They've only won 1 of their 8 opening games at a World Cup, but you gotta think this is gonna be their chance to get out of the groups. With the likes of Robert Lewandowski, this is his last chance realistically to do anything at an international level. So for me, I'm actually, this is gonna upset some Mexican Donnies, I apologize, but I'm actually going Poland in second place, along with Argentina going through to the knockouts, Mexico and Saudi Arabia going out. On to Group D, which in my opinion is the easiest one to predict. France are 2-time World Cup winners, but nobody's won the World Cup back-to-back since Brazil back in like the 60s. But they're without Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kante through injury, and their midfield looks like a little bit of a weakness. When Matteo Guendouzi and Jordan Veretout are going to the World Cup with France, something's gone a little bit wrong. And obviously they went out of the Euros to Switzerland in surprising fashion, but I expect them and back them to bounce back, even if their manager has no idea what he's doing formationally in the build-up to this tournament. I saw someone say he was going to play a 3-1 something formation. If your formation starts with a 3 and a 1, you're done out. Australia have faced the eventual winners of a World Cup 3 times out of their last 5 appearances at the tournament. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That means you're winners of the World Cup in 2022. Oh, Tunisia. Yeah, I can't lie. I don't know if I expect much out of Australia. They've lost to like Japan and a few other Asian nations recently. They only had to beat the UAE and Peru to qualify, made a bit of a hash of qualification. We then got Tunisia. I don't know what these lot are eating over at the Tunisian FA, but how these guys keep doing so well, I don't know. But then we've got Denmark as well. And first of all, it's great to see Christian Eriksen back at an international tournament. He'll be hoping to guide Denmark to some sort of glory, along with the likes of your Andreas Christensens, Pierre Højbjerg, Joachim Andersen, and they won 9 out of 10 games in World Cup qualification. So even though they don't have a great record at the World Cup, they're in good form now. And off the back of that, I expect them to qualify. I know I'm going a little bit European-centric maybe with this pick right now, but I just don't see anything other than that. France and Denmark are surely going through there. Group E, we're starting to see some titanic games already in the group stages here, with Spain and Germany in the first round together alongside Costa Rica and Japan. Spain, the tiki-taka technicians themselves, averaged 76% possession in qualifying. Little bit of a mixed bag for them in Nations League action. They've lost to Switzerland a couple of times recently, but they're still a force with younger players like Pedri, Ansu Fati and Gavi coming through. It's more the old guard, maybe started to phase out a little bit, like Azpilicueta and Busquets. Are they going to be as strong? And also as a centre-back partnership, I just don't see a huge amount of quality there. That's something that let them down at the Euros. At Germany, and it's all changed for them, Hansi Flick will be leading his side into his first World Cup as Germany manager, and he'll be hoping for much better than they achieved last time. Thomas Muller has 10 goals and 6 assists in his last 16 World Cup matches. He is a man for the big occasions and the big tournaments, and coincidentally, fascinatingly, he's been the same age for all of those games. They're without Marco Reus and Timo Werner, but still have the quality of your Kai Havertz's, Serge Gnabry, Leroy Sané, Jamal Musiala. So I expect them to do well here under good management. Japan, you lot are just gonna have to Minamino your way to glory, to be honest with you, and Tomiyasu as well. Because other than that, like, this is, I feel like, a little bit of a transitional period maybe for Japan. A couple of younger players here, but they've lost some of the old guard. They've got a goalkeeper called David Schmidt. You're not fooling me, Japan. He's not Japanese. And then finally, Costa Rica, who I feel like are going to be one of those teams that are just happy to be there. They're a good side, to be honest with you, with a couple good players. Brian Ruiz being in the side made me think I was back in 2010. Big ups Costa Rica. They might be able to put in a surprise somewhere. Again, qualifying out of North America is pretty difficult. So they've done well to get into this World Cup, but I mean, I'm not expecting them to qualify out of this group. So for this one, Spain or Germany to win the group, I think is more the question. I think Costa Rica will probably finish bottom with Japan in third. I mean, to be honest, I mean, even Japan could maybe even finish fourth here. I can't even lie. But Spain or Germany, I think I'm going to go with Germany. I think they've got that final cutting edge that maybe Spain are lacking, and also Spain's centre-back partnership again, I'm just not too sold on. That brings on to Group F, which is one of the most exciting groups. I love this one. I'm not going to lie. Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia. Now, Belgium, I've been saying this, I think, for the last 4 years now. Please do something at a tournament. You lot have been #1 in the world without actually winning anything for ages. Eden Hazard, like, he's in the squad. He might do something. You might see him play every now and again, but he's not going to have the same influence as old school Eden Hazard. But this, for me, is the last time, genuinely, where Belgium can have any sort of expectation of going far in a major tournament. If they don't do anything here, that golden generation might genuinely be wasted. And to back up that feeling of being the bridesmaid and never the bride, they are the team that's qualified, or the European team that's qualified the most for a World Cup without actually winning it. And that's a total of 14 times. Canada are so interesting. Like, they've obviously qualified only for the second time in their history. And just to put it into perspective, like, how mad this is, Atiba Hutchinson, who's in their side and 39 years of age, is the only man that was alive when they last qualified for a World Cup. They've got Alphonso Davies, they've got Jonathan David. The side other than that is a little bit thin on the ground maybe, but they won North American qualifying. They beat Mexico and the US in terms of qualification, so don't sleep on them. Morocco, another side that's, like, I feel like quite underrated. You know, you'd think of Morocco and you go, oh yeah, there's a couple players, but no, there's the likes of Ashraf Hakimi, Mazraoui, Hakim Ziyech. They've genuinely got some good players. Their record in terms of the World Cup is not great. They've only won 1 of their last 10 games at this tournament, but they'll be hoping to put that right this time. And then rounding out Group F is Croatia, a side that just sneak up out of nowhere, are always underestimated. Interestingly, they lost the opening game at 3 of their last 5 World Cups, and when they haven't done that, they've reached the semi-final in 98 and the final in 2018. Who the hell is getting out of this group? Oh, this is going to be tough. I can't even lie. Even Belgium, honestly, aren't even guaranteed to win the group. Jesus Christ. I want to put Canada through because I love the story. I really love the story. Fuck the feds, I'm doing it. The Croatians, look, I already know what's going to happen. Croatians in the comments are like, yeah, but we beat you at the world. Yeah, I know you did. That's phenomenal. Luka Modric is 56 now, all right? Move on. But no, I think this Croatian side's still good, man. It's always dumb to underestimate them. We know that I'm dumb anyway, so what's the point? Canada, fuck the feds. There's no rules anymore. I'm tired. I'm ill. I don't care. Canada are going through. Croatia are third. Morocco are fourth. It's not gonna happen, but I'm just here for the Canadian story. Now on to Group G, and that's where we find Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. Brazil are, of course, the team with the most World Cups in their history. They've had greats, of course, like Ronaldinho, Pele, Rivaldo, and now Fred. Neymar will be hoping that he can guide this Brazilian side to glory. And there's some great names in here like Thiago Silva, Casemiro, Alisson, Rodrigo, Martinelli. There's quality everywhere. Serbia next up. Now, they were actually promoted in Nations League recently and even topped their qualifying group above the likes of Portugal. So they're a team in decent form and not one to be sniffed at. Alexander Mitrovic also grabbed 8 goals in 8 in World Cup qualifying, which was the 3rd out of anyone in Europe. Cameroon are, of course, else in here as well? They've got a goalkeeper's name that I simply cannot pronounce. They've obviously got a rich African footballing history. They've played the most games of any African nation at the World Cup. And the main man, Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, will be, I mean, he's gonna win the Golden Boot, let's be honest here. And then, of course, there's Switzerland, who always seem to just honestly spawn in the round of 16. I don't know quite how they do it and how they end up getting there. But for me, it's actually interesting that it's lined up that way. This is the order that I'm going with. Serbia's form going into this tournament, as well as Alexander Mitrovic's goal-scoring form, I think could really guide them. I think with Switzerland's Xherdan Shaqiri aging a little bit, even though they've got the likes of Granit Xhaka and Denis Zakaria, who are solid players, I'm backing Serbia here for some reason. And then Group H, which is honestly just a fuck-nose group altogether. We've got Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea. Ghana will be looking for revenge here in a group with Uruguay, of course. They obviously got to the quarterfinals in 2010 before that heartbreak, which is the joint furthest any African nation has gone after Senegal in 2002 and Cameroon in 1990. Uruguay were third in South American World Cup qualifying behind Argentina and Brazil, so best of the rest, probably what you would expect from them. They've got some good players, Ronaldo Araujo from Barcelona, Fede Valverde, obviously Luis Suarez is still there, and who could forget the main man himself, Darwin Núñez. But overall, I think if Luis Suarez was to score against Ghana in this tournament, I think he'd be banned from Africa forever. Portugal are such an interesting one, a great side with seemingly a lot of depth and some really solid players, but just making a hash of everything wherever they go. Their form going into this tournament is not great. I feel like their boss is under pressure. Cristiano Ronaldo could become the first player to score at 5 separate World Cups, and along with him, there's some great names, Ruben Diaz, João Cancelo, Bruno Fernandes, but their form's terrible. They've only won 3 of the last 14 World Cup matches and finished behind Serbia in their qualifying group. I'm just not convinced. And then finally, South Korea, of which 50% of their World Cup wins in their history came back in 2002 when they hosted a tournament, of course, with Japan. Heung-min Son is obviously their main man. Let's not beat around the bush. Son could become only the second Korean in history to score at 3 separate World Cups after Park Ji-sung back in the Manchester United days. So the final group here, what are we going for? I'm going for something outlandish. I'm going for Uruguay winning the group, with Portugal, I think, qualifying in second, and South Korea. Now, I'm going for Ghana third and South Korea fourth, I think, here. It's difficult, though. This is going to be a very even group. Yeah, for me, Uruguay and Portugal are through. Ghana and South Korea probably just missing out. And that brings us on to the round of 16, and these are the matchups that we've been given. We've got the Netherlands versus the USA. Now, as much as I'm here for the soccer experience, can't wait to hear those chants they've got going on at Qatar. It's the Netherlands, let's be totally real. Even though I think the Netherlands are missing a little bit of firepower up front, but I still back them here, and I still back them to do the job over the USA. Argentina versus Denmark is a kind of interesting matchup, actually. Argentina are definitely the favorites here. Denmark are a good side. Denmark are a solid side. I'm gonna go for Argentina here. I'm gonna go for Argentina, but it's a tough one. Germany versus Canada. It's a bit one-sided again. I wanted the Canadian dream to last a little bit longer than this, if I'm gonna be honest with you, but I think this is probably where it ends, and that would be impressive from Canada, to be honest with you. Germany go through here, in my opinion. Match 52 is sick. Battle of the Portuguese speakers. It's the Portuguese derby. Brazil versus, Portugal, which obviously makes sense. Brazil are too strong for Portugal. I'm not gonna lie. And as I've said, the form that Portugal go into this tournament with, I don't see them going far. That could bite me, to be honest with you. But no, I'm going with Brazil here as well. England versus Senegal next up. And as much as I want to see an African nation go far, realistically, England should be beating Senegal. Like, that is the reality here. Whether it ends up happening or not, I'm not sure. Hopefully Senegal do make it out of the group, because as far as African representation is concerned, I want them to do well. But surely England have got to win this one, even with Sadio Mane in the side. I think that would be the one thorn in our side, though. Matchup 54, the 6th of the round of 16 games here, is France versus Poland. Poland getting out the groups is going to be crazy as it is with their recent record in tournaments. But again, France just are better than Poland, are in better form than Poland, and just have more of a threat, really. There's nothing to indicate that France are going to get duppied out of this in the round of 16 again. But anything can happen in football, and that's why we love it, which is such a cliche here, and you're not trying to sell the game of football here. Next up, we've got Belgium versus Spain. This is a classic. KDB versus Spain. Wow, because that's what it's going to be, realistically. It's going to be him and Lukaku versus all of Spain. Belgian fans, I'm sorry. Spain win this for me. Like, I know their youthful exuberance, and I've mentioned their centre-backs are not a centre-back partnership that I'm massively keen on, but they've got just about enough of a blend of experience with your Azpilicuetas and Sergio Busquetses, as well as some solid attacking flair and youngsters in your Pedris, Fati, Batties and Gavies. I think they've got something, and I think they could beat Belgium here. And then that finally leaves us with Uruguay versus Serbia. Probably the most low profile, I think, of the round of 16 games here. Probably go for Uruguay, I think, here. I think I would go with Uruguay. As much as Serbia are in great form, Uruguay always feel like they're a good tournament team. Like, they just have more firepower. They've just got more good players, I guess. Serbia got some, well, that seems bad. Serbia got some good players, but I feel like Uruguay have got a couple more world-class players. On to the quarterfinals now. Oh, sweet bejesus. Wow, that's techie. Netherlands versus Argentina. We'll start there. This one's tough, man. Wow. Again, the Netherlands, the thing that might hold them back for me is a little bit of firepower. They did score a lot of goals in World Cup qualifying. I just look at their striker options and I'm just like, is that enough to really take you to the final four of a World Cup? Whereas with Argentina, a couple more aging players, especially at the back. I feel like Argentina are always so top heavy. They've got great attacking players, but then elsewhere they can be lacking. I think I'm going to go with Argentina here. I don't know. Netherlands are kind of dark horses, but against Argentina, I'm not sure if they win that, to be honest. We've got Brazil versus Germany next, and this is crazy because for me, Germany and Brazil, like pound for pound, you look at the squads, are probably the best teams at the tournament, like two of the top four best teams at a tournament, and they're meeting at the quarterfinals here. I think with the array of talent they've got all the way through the side, I see Brazil here. And let's be honest, it's written in the stars. After the 7-1 they had inflicted on them back in Brazil in 2014, they're beating Germany 7-1 here. You heard it here first. Slap a bet on it. England versus France. Oh, that's techie. That's a problem. The thing is, right, if I say England here, everyone's gonna go, well, you're English, that's the only reason. And I get that, but there is a blind faith part of me that thinks with France's midfield injuries, maybe, just maybe, Gaza Southgate could do a match. Who am I kidding? He can't. This is only made problematic, again, because of France's injury problems, but then again, we've got injury problems. We're missing Reece James, Ben Chilwell. You know, we've got a lot of players out for this tournament, and that is gonna hurt us. Genuinely, if we had the full complement here, I think we honestly could beat France. But without our two best wing backs, I'm not sure. I think France win. I'm sorry, England massive. And then finally, we've got Spain versus Uruguay. For me, it's crazy. Spain are not even really that strong. This is not the strongest Spain team that you've ever seen at a World Cup. But their path really to a semi-final seems pretty clear-cut from the quarters. I think they beat Uruguay here, so I'm putting Spain through. Which leaves us with a situation where whatever I do, we've got a South American and European final. Because we've got Argentina versus Brazil, tasty semi-final, and we've got France versus Spain. Now, Argentina versus Brazil in a rerun of the Copa America final. Whew, this one could be mad. This one's gonna be so entertaining though if this does end up happening. Man, again, the quality of this Brazilian side is so strong. But I feel like Argentina are their kryptonite every now and again. Lionel Messi, this is his chance. This realistically is his moment to win a World Cup. Is he gonna do it, or is he gonna fall at the hands of Brazil again? Leo, I'm sorry, I'm choosing Brazil. I'm sorry, it has to be. I'm so sorry. It probably doesn't have to be. No, you know what? I'm changing my mind. Argentina, fuck the feds. I make the rules here. Argentina, it's Lionel Messi's last dance in a final. Even though logic would quite evidently suggest that Brazil should win that, Brazil lost the Copa America final, so it's not completely unheard of. And in the other semi-final, we've got France versus Spain. Now, this one, technically speaking, should be a little bit more clear-cut. The only thing about France as well, right, is because they seem to be like tinkering and changing quite a lot in the build-up to this tournament. But I do probably still just about back them to beat Spain here. Which leaves us with a third-place playoff of Brazil versus Spain. Let's be honest, nobody cares about this game, so let's just get that one out of the way and say Brazil will win it. And then the final, we've got Argentina versus France. Lionel Messi's final swan song at an international tournament, winning a World Cup to complete his overall legacy, or France winning it because they simply have every good attacker in the whole world. For me, in this final matchup, it's Argentina, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming home for Argentina. It's esta casa. I don't know it in Spanish, but basically, this is, for me, Lionel Messi's moment. Argentina are winning the World Cup. I don't care whether you're booing or not. Am I using a little bit of emotion in that final? Potentially, maybe so. But I feel like, for the most part, the statistics that I have been provided here would lead me to the choices that I have made. But what do you you predicting for the World Cup? Who do you think is going to win this tournament over in Qatar in the winter? And once you've worked it out, make sure to head over to Optimillion, where of course if you do predict everything correctly, you can win yourself $1 million. Who doesn't want free money? Get yourself over there. The link is down in the description below for you to try out this game yourselves. But if you enjoyed this video, feel free to slap a like on it, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.